Hey everyone, welcome to the third part of my coloring book collection. And this is from letters P to C, so let's start. The first one is Pop Manga Coloring Book by Camila Dereko. As I told you in the previous video, she's a marvelous artist. And this is actually the first coloring book by her that I've bought. So if you're into manga-styled girls with weird background, or just some whimsical creatures and strange happenings, this one is a must-have. I've completed some of the pictures here, you can see. Unfortunately, this is double-sided book, so please be careful when coloring this one. Use your protective sheet in between. Okay, then I have a Hanna Carlson coloring book called Päiväunia, unelmien värityskirja, or Dagdrömmar in Swedish. There's more of her amazing illustrations here. Lots of flowers and pretty girls and jewelry. Also some cute little animals. This is a finished version of the original book, so unfortunately this one is double-sided. Then I have a Amazon print by demand book called Queen of the World Grayscale Coloring Book by Magdalene Morrison. It's filled with grayscale fantasy artwork. So again, when you're coloring this one, use a protective sheet in between because the pages are pretty thin. But the imagery is really nice and fantasy themed. I think the only Johanna Basford book or booklet that I have is Salainen puutarha 20 väritettävää postikorttia, or Secret Garden 20 colorable postcards. This was also a gift to me. I've actually colored only one of these and sent to a friend of mine. This one is called Språkjesboss by Tomislav Tomic, or Tomic, however it should be pronounced. If you're into fantasy or fairy tales, he's an artist for you. Some of these pictures are one-sided and some of these are full spreads, but the level of detail is quite overwhelming, so be prepared to confront them. And of course, if you're not into coloring that much, you can always just get this one to marvel his artwork. Then I have a Finnish version of A Million Cats. This is Sylin täydeltä kissoja by Lulu Mayo. If you're a cat person like I am, this is a fun book to have. There's a lot of details and these cute chubby cats doing their little fun activities. There's also this weird or strange pictures of metamorphosis between plants or objects and cats. A very cute and strange one. Then I have this Finnish book called Taiteellinen katti, anna kirjan inspiroida. The original is called Creative Cat by David Sinden. There's different drawings or illustrations of cats and their their activities. It's quite artsy one. There's also some tasks you can do, or activities you can do. One of my favorite coloring book artists is Alan Robert, and this is his first coloring book called The Beauty of Horror, a gorgeous coloring book. If you're into gore or horror and fantasy, I suggest you try this one out. This might not be for every person, since there might be some blood and gore going on. Like here you can see some horror imagery. But I'm really into fantasy and horror, so this is right down my alley. Sort of weird book. It's a nice quality. Too bad it's double-sided again. I wish it was only one-sided, so I could use different media. I've only used like a small range of markers in this one, and mostly pencils. The second part of this book series is The Beauty of Horror 2, Guliana's Creepatorium, also by Alan Robert. It's a continuation to Guliana's story. Again, a lot of intrigue, horror scenery. Very strange curiosities here. So yeah, double-sided again. So be careful what materials you use if you don't want to ruin the pages. I've completed some of these pictures already, and they are a lot of fun to color. I also have the third part of this book series called The Beauty of Horror 3, Haunted Playgrounds by Alan Robert again. And Guliana's story continues. Some more gore and horror. This time in this playground or these sets, like movie sets or haunting places. It's actually pretty fun. Like, I think it's black humor that many pictures has in this one, but very, very interesting. There's also these sort of like mandalas or kaleidoscope style pictures. So yeah, a great one. A smaller type, The Beauty of Horror book is this Ghosts of Christmas version by Alan Robert again. These you can cut out if you like. And these are like a postcardish type of small illustrations. And gladly they are single-sided. And a quite similar one to the previous one is The Beauty of Horror Tricks and Treats by Alan Robert. It's starring Juliana again, and the pages are single-sided. The page material is quite thick and pretty good. I use watercolor and pencils in these ones. And you can also cut them out and frame them if you've managed to create an art piece. This one also has a great type of paper in it. The Curiosity Shop coloring book by Chris Price. If you're into items and tools and collections, this is a fun to look at, and also a really nice coloring book. The paper quality is awesome, and the pages are single-sided, and they are so interesting to look at. I'm using watercolor and pencils on top. And I think I never get bored with this type of book. They're just so fascinating. Then I have a Flower Fairies coloring book by Sicily Mary Barker. She's famous for her little fairies, like little children who are fairies, and her flowery artwork. They are really pretty. The pictures, I think they base on the original artwork of her. I'm not sure if she's still present with us, but at least her artwork can inspire the next generations. This is an American artist, I think. Annie Steck Gerard is her name, and the Moonlit Veil, a mythical coloring and art book, is this one I'm showing you right now. This is a single-sided collection of black and white line art of really pretty mystical beauties. They are quite detailed, and her artwork is stunning, just to say. If you're not into coloring that much, you can always get this book and her other artwork and art books, because she's a marvelous artist. Absolutely beautiful book. Another by Chris Price is the Sweet Shop coloring book. So, like I said you in the previous video, I'm a sweet tooth, so I was so happy to find this. There's this old, like vintage sceneries from 50s or 60s, from these old kind of candy shops or sweet shops. And the paper quality is very nice. It's quite thick, and you can use watercolors or acrylics or other water-based medium quite well. I'm using watercolor and pencils on top with this one. Next up is the Wildwood Soiree, a fanciful coloring and art book by Annie Steck Gerard. Another wonderful coloring book by her. It's single-sided, and she's created very cool looking and fun and whimsical animal friends for us. And the line work is awesome, and her drawing style is superb. So, and in the end you can see her original artworks as well, so it's a very lovely book. The next one is Vallaton 1930-luku, or colorable pictures from 1930s or Art Deco. I'm not sure if the pictures are from Shutterstock. They probably are. And this is a double-sided, unfortunately. There's a lot of mandalas and some Art Deco inspired illustrations here. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you can try this one out. The next one is by Relax Art. It's called Viidakko, Väritä ja rentoudu, or Jungle. It's a color by number book. I'm not that into color by numbers, but I decided that I will replace the colors that the book tells me to use. So I just randomly replace them, and the result can be quite interesting indeed. So this one is like my getaway book, just to like get the pressure out and just to think nothing and focus on myself when I'm coloring this one. This one is called Villi Savanni värityskirjaseikkailu, or Wild Savannah by Millie Marotta. This is my only book by her. It's filled with wildlife and plants, and it's great if you're into colors like I am, because there's so much details and sections. All these animals are divided into small sections, so you can either like color them in whole with something like one color, or then you can do like I do, just pick some random colors and go really wild. This is a Finnish book called Väritä itsellesi mielen rauhaa, 100 luonnonläheistä värityskuvaa kaikenikäisille. It's basically a mindfulness book with 100 colorable pictures. This might be from Shutterstock again. It's a double-sided book, unfortunately. As you can tell, I'm not into double-sided books. I prefer one-sided books. They are more suitable for different media. But this one has a nice thick paper in it. This was also a gift from a friend. So it's a nice book to practice your skills. This one is Witches and Warlocks Grayscale Adult Coloring Book by Deanna Harrison. And there's grayscale pictures in it from some kind of witch theme. So there's magic users and sorcerers and spellcasters. It's actually a nice theme and a nice idea to use these like photos. I think some of the photos are cropped in a weird way, or something odd going on, but it's a nice thing to try your grayscale coloring. Sen piirtely onnellinen aikalisä. It's a Finnish book or magazine. There's pretty basic like Shutterstock images in it. The paper quality is not that good, but you can test out your colors in this one. And there's a lot of details, and at the same time it's pretty simple. I think it's a nice book to start your hobby. Then I have one book more. I think it's a final one to end my collection. It's Zen väritys, luovaa värittämistä aikuisille kukat, or Zen coloring, like flower themed. So there's a lot of illustrations with flowers or flowery patterns or wallpaper patterns. It's one-sided, so you can test out your materials. Just remember to use the bleeding sheet in between. It's a nice book to start a hobby as well. So if you're new to coloring, you can check out these books with Shutterstock images. They are quite simple, and usually the line art is pretty visible and easy to follow. So yeah, that was my coloring by 2020 summer. I will show you some addition later. See you guys.